Do you find that song moving?
I love it.
You love it?
Yeah, but I wouldn't perform it unless it was like for fun, like for jokes.
I'm
I'm
afraid
I
I
am
am
bruised.
bruised.
I
I
am
am who
who I'm
I'm
meant
meant
to
to
be.
be.
This
This
is
is
me.
me. Welcome back, my crumb guzzlers. It's me, Phoebe Cakes, and you're tuning into In My Crumble Opinion. I want to acknowledge some elephants in the room. A couple of new novel things that has never happened before have occurred. We took a break since we started filming. Our first week off, didn't really intend to do it, but we are just so spent after Pride. We needed like a week to like reset, and we're glad we did. But we're also happy to be back in the studio. Another thing that I want to address: this is the first time in 24 episodes. 25 episodes that I'm repeating a wig. This is the wig that I wore with Sally Limon, who is part of the bully squad, as it's called, and we'll explain that later. So, it actually kind of makes sense because I'm here with another bully squad member, La Chucha!
Hello, hola putas.
La Chucha, introduce yourself to the children. They know your name, but where are you from, and where do you perform?
Hello everyone. Am I at the camera? Hello everyone. Hola. I am La Chucha. I am part of the House of Rude,
Iconic.
Pseudo House of Rude. I am originally from San Jose, Milpitas, and have been living in Oakland for almost 7 years in September. A while. I do Chillonas, which is a party. It's like a Latinx party with Princess Panocha, and we just recently added another member, Jose Alejo. And I am also a resident drag queen at Batcave. I blanked out. Oh my god, my crooked nails are distracting me. I am a resident drag queen at Batcave with Heroin, produced by Vampy. So you can find me there every month.
Gag. Okay, so I'm gonna grill you more on the shows you produce later.
Oh.
I did not know all of that. Wow. Learning new things. That's why the show's here.
Surprise.
It's okay. You've stumbled a little bit this first. We're gonna loosen you up, baby. Because
I do that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little tight at the beginning, and then it gets loose, and then by the end of the night, there's like how many tally marks on your butt. Okay, so you have been mentioned on the show a number of times. I think maybe the most for non-guests that have been mentioned. Do you think that's true, Angel? Like, you've been watching the show? Do you think that's true?
I have. I've seen every episode. I think so. I haven't like kept proper tallies.
Not like your loads. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I'm up there, if not at the top.
At the top.
Yeah.
Why do you think we keep talking about you? And also, do you like the notoriety, the crumb famousness? I don't know. I was trying to come up with the.
I mean, part of the reason why I do drag is because I do like the attention.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to come up often in these episodes. Yeah. I mean. Yeah.
Gag work. Yeah. No, that pretty much answered it. So you're happy to be mentioned because
like
you're
attention.
a fame whore. I don't think you're always mentioned in a positive light, but any press is good press. So you're the daughter. You mentioned House of Rude, but your drag mom has been on the show, Kachina Rude. How did that relationship start?
Yeah, I know Kachina kind of spoke about it a little bit when she was on Crumble, but I can elaborate a little bit more. So the first time I actually saw Cochina perform, I still remember it. It was like a life-changing moment for me.
Oh.
She was performing at the Stud, which she used to perform at a lot.
R.I.P.
Uh-huh. And she did this number. I don't remember what she was wearing. She did this number where she was like on stage, and then she like spilled a bunch of beer on the audience, and then jumped into the audience and started a mosh pit. And it was like the first time I'd ever seen anything like that, and it was very up my alley, and I was just so gagged. I knew since then that I was a fan of Ms. Rude. Fast forward a little bit, I had started doing drag during lockdown. I'm a pandemic drag queen.
Mm-hmm.
I had told myself if I ever have a drag mommy, it's gonna be either Cochina Rude or Nikki Jizz. I never asked Nikki. I don't think I've even really told people that those were like kind of my goals.
Mm-hmm.
But as Cochina mentioned, I was like kind of really shy to ask her directly to
Mm-hmm.
like be my mom. And so I think one time me and Princess Panocha were hanging out with some folks and we were drinking, and she like helped me message Cochina. I think she had like literally took the phone from me and like sent Cochina a message. And she did not want me at first. She said she's too young, whatever, blah blah blah, to have a kid. But she did say, why don't we like FaceTime, and I can give you some pointers and kind of like, you know, share some wisdom with you. And so we did that. We FaceTimed a little bit. She kind of talked about some stuff about lessons that she learned from Fatima and just like her own like skills and tips that she wanted to share with me. Fast forward a little bit to when I did a Turbo Revenge. I did I did a performance where I tattooed Nikki Jizz's logo on my leg.
Made her cry. I knew that. Yeah.
Yeah, which is not that hard to do.
No.
You can very easily make Nikki Jizz cry. But the theme of that challenge was gag, and so my gag was tattooing Nikki Jizz's logo on my leg. And shortly after that, Cochina messaged me and she was like, "You can be a Rude, I guess. You can be my daughter."
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
great. So it only took you tattooing some other drag queen's name on your body to get Kachina Rude to adopt you.
That's your version of Lisa's orange head joke.
Yeah. She's so humble.
So was there an exact moment that you realized you're better at makeup than Kachina Rude?
I think from the get.
From the get.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say I'm better than Cochina at makeup. Nikki just might say that behind her back.
Uh-huh.
But we have very distinct styles of makeup application. However, Cochina did teach me how to do my eyebrows.
Work.
And Beverly Chills, actually, when I was like first getting started, Beverly and Cochina were the ones that like helped me get it together.
Yeah.
And so I do have to give credit where it's due, and Cochina is responsible for these babies.
Work.
Yeah.
So you started during the pandemic. What was it? What got you into drag? Something tells me that you were interested in drag even before everything shut down. What happened during the pandemic to kind of push you over?
Yeah, so I had been curious about drag for many a years. I also had this experience back in, when was it? It was like season 7 of RuPaul's Drag Race, I believe. I went to go see the finale. When I was living in Sacramento at the time.
Okay. So you drove all the way down to LA to watch the finale of season 7?
No. I was watching like, it was like a
Oh,
viewing party
okay.
at a bar.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. You saw it at a bar. Okay. Okay.
So I was watching Drag Race, and I had told one of my friends, Jared, I had told him like, yo, like, I think I'm gonna do drag someday. I don't know, like, it's something that I'm really interested in. And he was like very encouraging about it, and then he ended up passing away like a day or two after that. And so it almost felt like, I know, plot twist. It almost felt like I needed to do it at some point just to kind of like honor my friendship with him. And then when I moved to Oakland, I started making friends with a lot of the folks in nightlife here.
Yeah.
And I think part of it was that I was like genuinely interested in being part of nightlife in one way or another. Actually, before I was doing drag, I was making flyers for people. Part of like my process of starting drag was I wanted to like stay in my lane and start by like going to the shows, tipping the girls, tipping the boys, making those connections, building that community, and then eventually, hopefully, somehow get into drag or nightlife in one way or another. Pandemic, lockdown happened, and all of a sudden I had time. And I had resources because I was
Larucci brushes.
Who was sponsoring me, not with money, but with free brushes that I guess people have opinions about, crumble opinions about. I've seen the episodes. Oh no, Twitter. I've seen Twitter. But yeah, I had resources and I had time. I wasn't going out partying, which was like, I was like spending a lot of money partying. And because I work in digital communications, we like during lockdown, like we got hella work. I actually ended up leaving one job and getting a new job that paid way more.
Wow.
Which is fucked up. I mean, good for me, but fucked up for a lot of people who were losing work and stuff. So that happened. I had those resources. I had time, and so I just started playing around with makeup.
Work.
Yeah.
I have a very similar story of how I started drag.
Uh-huh.
I had the privilege of writing a movie and helping cast the movie and was on set for like filming. And when we were looking for actors, there was nobody that was right because like I wrote these characters like specifically like in my voice. So I wanted somebody that was like me. So I ended up casting a friend of a friend that became a really good friend because during the process of making this film we got really close, and they're basically like just like me, you know, kind of like same age, Filipino. They went to UCLA, I went to Berkeley, but we knew each other through my ex. After filming, they passed away,
Mm-hmm.
but they were a drag. They were their drag performer, and that's one thing that I always admired about them. Like they're performing and them doing drag, and something that I was always interested in. And so when they passed away, it was like kind of like a
Mm-hmm.
I need to actually do it. So
Yeah.
touching. Oh, touching already.
I have a heart, believe it or not.
We have hearts. Where was I? Oh, okay. Whiplash. Your first drag name was Scat Wiener.
It was, yeah.
And it's no longer Scat Wiener. Why did you get rid of that great name? And how did you arrive at La Chucha?
Well, it was a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
Scat Wiener was kind of a joke. It was like a joke, obviously based on a politician in San Francisco that
Drag her.
That I fucking hate. And so the name was like a joke that I thought was also a really great drag name.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem was at first I was like, when I started drag, like I didn't want to change any of my social media handles, any of that stuff. Chucha is my name out of drag. It's a chosen name. When people ask me, what's your real name? It's Chucha. That's really what I go by outside of drag and in my normal life. And so my Instagram handle was already La Chucha. And people already knew me as Chucha. And so that transition, I know you talked about transitions with Cochina as well.
Yeah.
That transition became really easy when I kept La Chucha as a drag name. And it just kind of fits, I think.
Oh,
like,
yeah, totally.
Yeah, I love that it's not like a first name, last name. It's like a title. Like, I'm La Chucha.
So I'm stupid. Does Chucha mean something?
Okay, so Chucha, kind of. So my nickname growing up was Chuy because my middle name is De Jesus.
Okay, yep.
And so Chuy, people that are named Jesus, they either get the nickname Chuy or Chucho.
Oh, okay, yes. Now it's all coming together.
Yeah,
okay.
So that's kind of where my friends in college started calling me Chucha based on that. But also a chucho or a chucha in Mexico is a dog. It's like a slang for a dog. And so a chucha would technically be a bitch. But also in some other Latin American countries, chucha means vagina. Or it's also just an expression. It's like fuck. And so it makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's
She has
polyvalent.
layers.
She has layers. Yeah,
She has
exactly.
layers.
Wow, that's cool. Okay, La Chucha. And so people call you Chucha outside of drag as well. Your family too?
Kind of. My family recently actually, and it just kind of happened naturally. My mom, especially, will call me Chucha when my friends are around, but they still call me Chuy, because that's kind of what they've known me as since I was a kid.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you mentioned kind of making flyers for people and working in digital media or media. So you are very artsy. What's your background in the arts, and how did you become like such a sickening stoner?
Yeah, so when I was in college, I went to UC Davis, so part of the UC system.
UC's, yeah.
Miss Cakes.
I don't know. We could cut that out.
Or leave it in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was a student at UC Davis, and when I
Uh-huh.
was there, I came in as a psychology major, and then added a Chicano studies double to that. I ended up also doing a minor in art studio.
Okay, great.
That was almost a triple major. And so those things kind of all informed each other. But one of the things that I loved about the Chicano studies department at UC Davis is that it was very arts heavy. And so through a lot of those like Chicano studies, Chicanx studies, art classes, I found kind of like my place, I think. And like, because I had always wanted to do art. I had always wanted to be an artist ever since I was a little faggot. And can I say that?
Yeah, you can say it.
Okay.
Actually, I was gonna say when you brought up Jared, I was like, is Jared a faggot?
Oh, yeah.
And then you told me he died, and I was like, I'm not gonna say the word anymore.
No.
But you can say faggot as many times as you want on the show.
But yeah, so I was like a little faggot that was like very interested in art. I knew that at some point I think I would want to find a way to like make that a thing. In college, through Chicano studies, I found that intersection, I think, that like really resonated with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was through a screen printing class, actually through Chicano studies, that was centered around politics and culture, that I found a medium that like really spoke to me. I was like really good at screen printing. And so that led me to like an internship, volunteership, at a local like art studio owned by the Chicano Studies Department, where they were teaching community members art, of the art of screen printing, and encouraging folks to do like themes around culture and politics through it. And that's kind of where like it really kicked off for me. So I was doing screen printing for a while. There was some drama there. That led to me not having access to the screen printing studio, and then pushing.
Okay, don't skip over the drama. People always tell me and Angel's like, book me. I'm gonna tell you the tea. Book me. I'm gonna be such good. Book me because I got the drama. And it's like, and then people get on. Militia's done it. Amora's done it. People get on, and they're actually fucking nice. And I know for a fact that they're cunts. Like when the camera's off, you know. So what happened? What did you do? Do you throw ink at someone's face?
No, it wasn't that kind of drama. It was like, okay, so
you don't get along with a lot of people.
I wouldn't say a lot of people, but yeah, there's a few folks that I was just like, I'm over it. I'm done. And
okay, we'll get into that. Don't worry. All right. So how'd you get into stoning? Is stoning was something that like you kind of fell into doing drag? Do you enjoy it?
It was like, so stoning was a few things, right? Like I don't know if you can tell on camera, but this dress is covered in rhinestones.
Yeah, I see it.
And I just like, I love, like, you have rhinestones on your dress. I think it just elevates literally anything. And so I love a rhinestone.
Yeah.
Also, like, for me, rhinestoning became almost like meditative or like therapeutic. Like, it was a way for me to be able to like sit down and do something creative, something that was gonna help me with my drag.
Yeah.
That was also kind of mindless, and so I could sit there and glue these stones to whatever I was gluing them to, and like just think about shit and process it and whatnot. And so that's
So like, have you cried like putting stones down?
I'm
like,
not much of a crier.
I know. Really?
Which is funny because my makeup is very teary right now.
People that say they're not much of a crier, they will hit a point where they will cry. And I hope at someday that the cameras are rolling when that happens. But maybe it's going to happen tonight. We'll see. Okay, I love a challenge. On that note, we're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, I'm going to see if I can get La Chusha to cry. I probably won't.
You want that cake, 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 cake. Ooh, baby, I like it. It's so exciting. Don't try to hide it. I'ma make you my bitch.
I keep feeling like I'm going to burp, but it's never happening. So it's kind of like a weird limbo that I'm existing in. So hopefully at some point I will burp.
And I'll let everyone know what it smells like.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, exactly.
Also, are these like dill flavored? Like,
yeah, they're pickle.
flavored?
They're pickle.
Oh, okay.
They're pickle chips.
I love that.
We're a pickle chip household.
Yum.
We stand pickle chips. Pickle chip. If you want to sponsor, in my crumble opinion, let us know.
It's kettle, right? Or, yeah.
Also,
Yum.
like, do you still have? Speaking of sponsor, do you still have a relationship with LaRucci?
LaRousse. Kind of, but not really.
How did that partnership or that relationship begin? Are you allowed to talk about it? Is there an NDA?
No, there's no NDA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
That felt amazing. So with LaRousse, one of my friends actually, Lupita, who I love, she's amazing.
Nyong'o?
Lupita Nyong'o, yeah, I grew up with her. No, I'm kidding. Lupita, she started working for LaRousse and brought me in. She was like, hey, I'm working for this makeup brush company. Like, I want to like sponsor you by giving you a bunch of products or whatever. And then at some point, they needed help with some social media stuff. And so I got involved with LaRousse that way. And with that's why like a bunch of performers were getting makeup brushes, because part of like my deal with her is like that we would send makeup brush, we would send PR to some influencers, but also to some of my friends.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, so whether or not we're allowed to say it, I'm going to say it. We've been disaffectionately referred to as members of the quote-unquote bully squad. I did not come up with this term. It's a term that was gifted to us. I think it's a wonderful thing. So the bully squad apparently consists of Sally Limon, obviously,
Naturally.
me, Jackie, and you.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I'm a little hazy. Like, how did you become part of the bully squad? Do you even know what you did to piss off Woo Woo Monroe and the owners of Renegades?
I think what happened was, I think Woo Woo might have seen a tweet that I sent out, which was like, to me, it was funny. I said, it was something like, I wonder if her name is Woo Woo because of the sound that sirens make. And I think that's what got me.
That's silly, but also just like effectively funny.
Right.
Yeah, that's
like,
funny.
And it wasn't malicious. It was,
Yeah.
it was fun.
Yeah.
I'm a fun girl.
Uh-huh. So, have you ever performed that at Renegades?
No, I've
So
actually.
you're blacklisted from somewhere you've never been.
Yeah, and I'm like, I've never performed in San Jose, but I did grow up in the San Jose area. So at some point, I would love to perform out there. There's been actually 2 opportunities that I had to skip out on. But watch me, Renegades. I might show up and perform anyway.
Okay. I actually love performing in San Jose. I love a little destination that's actually not too much work, you know? And I've only performed at Splash. Is that right? Splash, Sofa Market.
Mm-hmm.
Soma Market?
Sofa.
Sofa. And then Renegades. And I've only performed at Renegades once, and apparently I'm like blacklisted now. But let me tell you, when it was the pandemic and things were opening up and I saw like Renegades, like, oh, this place looks cute, I want to perform Renegades. Renegades is really just a parking lot. It's not cute. There's roaches. I was just like, yeah, sure. Blacklist me from this roach infested parking lot.
Is that where you got your earrings from?
It is where I got my earrings from. I wore these earrings because I knew we were going to talk about roaches today.
When we went, there was this sickening, like, it was in a parking lot, but there was like a flickering and Fong billboard.
Oh, I love that.
But to tell you the truth, I actually love dives. Like I would perform there again if I was allowed to, because I do love dives. I love dives and vibes. Yeah, go off. So you hate cops?
Yeah.
You hate Woo Woo?
I've never met her. I've
never met her either. Actually, I kind of thought she was cool.
I've like never interacted with her, even like I don't think directly, not even on Twitter or nothing. But I have interacted with cops a few times, and I don't like them. But also, that's not a real job. That's like
being a drag queen or being a cop,
huh? Well, both. But one of them,
we're both fake jobs,
right?
Yeah.
But one of them I support, and one fake job I support, and the other one I don't.
So do you like the term bully squad? Do you think it's apt, or do you dislike it? Do you feel like don't say that about me?
I mean, I don't really care. Like, of course, I don't want to be called a bully, but if I'm being called a bully by a cop, then to me that's funny. Like, I don't give a fuck.
It is funny. It's very ironic. The oppressor cannot be bullied, right? Just like how white people can be racist. Also, I feel like people misuse the word bully a lot.
I think it's one of those terms that is easy. Like calling someone a bully is like one of the worst things you can call someone, because bully implies that you're like this malicious, like attacking the little person, like term or whatever. And so it's an easy way to like try to like affect someone really quickly or really harshly. But like it depends on the context. Like honestly, fuck it. Like if Woo Woo wants me to be a bully or wants to name me a bully, then I think that's funny. Then I guess I'm a bully. But I'm actually, okay, maybe, I don't know if you have a different opinion about this, or Angel, but I think even though I'm like a fucking like loud mouth, like kind of blunt bitch, I'm also like one of the nicest people in the scene, I think.
Yeah, I have no problem with you.
Okay.
I actually
and-
don't even think you're that loud.
But also like people know that I'm like very like I love to read.
Yeah.
But you like 95% of the time it's not malicious. I'm literally just having fun with you.
Yeah, I think that's the real tea. It's just like no one actually came for woo woo. Like
No.
at any point, it's just like we're laughing about foreskin.
Foreskin.
And then we also just like as a community laugh at cops. It's not about you.
Right. But imagine like being a cop drag queen who is mad at a bunch of people that are half her age about foreskin. Like you can't take that seriously.
You can.
No.
That's fun. I do like being part of the bully squad because I did grow up being bullied, and now I feel like
Same.
I'm the bully.
Yeah.
Now I'm the bully. Did you grow up being bullied? What were you bullied for?
Kind of for like being a faggot.
Being a faggot.
I was like
Number one was faggot.
Yeah.
Number one for me was Asian. Number two was faggot.
Well, I grew up mostly in Milpitas where
Yeah.
it's like 65. It was like, at least back then, it was like 65% Asian. Everything else was like a mixture of different folks. And so like people of color were the vast majority
Yeah.
Where I was at. And also like, even though like Latinos were a minority in Milpitas, I was, because I was like English as a second language.
Yeah.
I was part of a system that like where pretty much like all the like Spanish speaking Latino kids.
Yeah.
We all went to the same school and stuff.
Yeah.
And we were all in the same classes. So like I was kind of in my own community for a lot of it. So like being like Mexican or Latino or whatever wasn't really the focus of my bullying. It was like I was a big old faggot.
Yeah.
Ever since I was a kid.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, I get that. I think I grew up in a very similar demographic, like 80% of like elementary, middle school, and high school were Latino or Latinx.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't until high school, and then I was like, or in middle school, that I was like, oh, there's actually other Asian people, and then it became faggot. Then it was that was the big problem. Okay, so speaking of race, you brought it up, not me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You
Race?
tweeted, you tweeted the other week that it was a tweet that was kind of a response to the thing that Moja and I kind of talked about it 2 weeks ago from the colorist page. What was your tweet? Do you remember?
It was something about like people of color who like to discuss social justice or like racial justice who primarily date white people. I was just like, why? Like, what is it about people of color that you don't find like attractive or dateable or whatever, right? I will say, I know like, so there was a tweet by Mojo actually, where she kind of pointed out some stuff where I had to, okay. I think what prompted my original tweet was another tweet that was related to the conversation that was happening where, and so I tweeted my thing, and I think the timing was not great because it was a conversation that wasn't about anyone other than like Black folks.
Yeah.
But I don't think I had seen that original tweet when I had tweeted that. So anyway, it was also based on an observation. Like I remember, one of the things that I would talk a lot about with the folks that I was in that screen printing studio with was that like the Chicana studies department at UC Davis.
Okay.
All the professors were dating white people while they were in their like classes talking about like systemic racism and like desirability politics and stuff like that. And so for me, it was always like a thing of curiosity.
Something you noticed the pattern. Yeah.
And it wasn't like I'm not trying to like be above everyone. Like I suck pink dick. I've dated white people too. Like I know at this point I'll suck whatever dick. But yeah. So I tweeted that.
You heard it here. She'll suck whatever dick.
Especially if it smells a little bit like pee.
Oh.
Yeah. I just like want to know that you're a real person. That you don't think you're better than everyone else.
I think they all kind of smell a little bit like pee. If you smell hard enough.
I know. I sucked some dick last night, and I'm trying to remember what it smelled like. But I was more astounded by the way it looked. It was like kind of thin with a big head. Anyway,
Oh,
I
so
know.
it's like I've seen those penises. They always make me think of those like cactuses where you cut the top of the cactus off and you put one of those round cactuses on top.
Yeah.
It's like this cactus Frankenstein dick. Get
Uh-huh.
out of here.
No, yeah, it was delicious. But what were we talking about?
I know, I'm distracted now. We were talking about pink dick. You were talking about
yeah,
the
like,
pattern
yeah.
of that you recognize that like these professors that are kind of like talking about dismantling racism or
Dismantling.
dismantling. What did I say?
Dismantalizing.
Dismantling. It's a word now.
No, yeah, but
Coined
like
it.
I've like dated white people. I've like had my fair share of experiences with white people. So
Yeah.
it's not like me being like, I would never date a
Yeah.
white person, blah blah blah. But I do think it's like there's another thing, right? Like we should be able as a society to have discussions about themes or topics that are complicated.
Yeah.
And I recognize that it's a complicated topic. I'm not saying that my
Yeah.
opinion is valid.
I think the other part of it is like it's okay to like admit that you're implicated in that system that we're talking about too. Yeah, I don't want to venture I don't want to venture into kind of like the discussion with like
Yeah.
that initial tweet because obviously like it's about anti-blackness and
Yeah.
specific to that like moment and that kind of discussion. But it does make me interrogate my relationship to kind of like having historically dated the majority of white men and having white partners currently, and I'm not kind of I am embarrassed, and B, I'm also like not ashamed to admit that like those hegemonic forces have informed kind of like how I operate, sexually, romantically, and that's something that like I have to reckon with and like think about, even though at the end of the day, I don't think I'm gonna break up with my partners because of it.
And I don't think you need to be like ashamed or embarrassed for dating white people. Like, I'll tell you this, like, I mean, I think we know that like stuff like attraction and stuff like that, that's all socialized, right?
Yeah.
Those are things that we learn, right? And so I also like one thing, like I grew up with a lot of like trauma around my body and my body size, and that has informed a lot of like I love twinks. And I have mostly dated like really thin people. And I know that a lot of it is informed by my own like experiences with fat phobia and like being ashamed for my body.
Yeah.
I recognize that, and I think it's good to interrogate those things, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that like that I should be ashamed of my partners or who I date or whatever. Like, but I do think it's good for me to think about those things and to try to unlearn some of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like you shouldn't be embarrassed, and I think that's also kind of weird, right? Because like that also puts your partners in a weird spot where you're like, oh, I'm embarrassed that I date people like you or whatever, right?
I don't
like,
mind putting them in a weird spot.
But also, like, I don't really care about white people's opinions that much about their desire.
So we're gonna unlearn some stuff and fuck later after this episode.
Yeah.
Okay, exclusive. Be a Cake Church patron. See what happens. Okay. So speaking of Twitter, you've also bullied the Catholic Church. Is that right? Angel wrote this one.
I did.
That's kind of like bullying, like cops. Like, is it?
Yeah,
bullying?
exactly. Can you really bully the oppressor? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But what is your relationship to the Catholic Church?
So I actually grew up like deeply in the church. For a while, my parents were part of this thing called the Cursillos de Cristianidad, which was like, it was like, they would do these like bi-yearly retreat, like twice a year they would go on these retreats, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where like one weekend my dad would go and then the next weekend my mom would go. And it was this like religious retreat, right? And so when they started going on these retreats, we became very like heavily invested in like church stuff.
Yeah.
And so for a good while, for like a few years of my life, I was literally at church for different things for like 3 or 4 days a week.
Yeah.
I also at that time I think was like as I was like getting older, I was like trying to figure out.
Yeah. So
like,
what age? Sorry.
So this was like, I think they started when I was maybe like 8, 9,
Okay.
13, somewhere around.
Okay.
Big age discrepancy. And then that went like literally I was in church. I was like a fucking altar boy and shit.
Yeah.
Until I was like in high school, like junior year of high school.
Excuse me.
Uh-huh.
Cute.
Um
I love the pageantry of Catholicism.
Okay,
though.
it's kind of sickening. I
Yeah,
love religious,
just
like I love religious iconography and some like
Yeah.
the Virgen de Guadalupe, like that imagery to me. I
Mhm.
know it's like problematic. It's like a violent way that the Catholic Church tried to like force Catholicism down
Yeah.
indigenous people's throats. But also, I really enjoy the imagery of it because it's so like controversial.
Yeah.
And also kind of pretty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I was in the church a lot. And I also like decided that it wasn't for me. Like I don't believe in God. I'm not super spiritual. I'm kind of spiritual. And so, and with that also being part of the church, like we all saw we all heard about those controversies that continue to happen about priests and children.
Mhm.
And like, we know that there's a lot of like conservative politics that happen even in the Catholic Church, which is seen as like one of the like more like ungodly Christian faiths or whatever. There's a lot to critique there. So like, why not do it as someone who literally
On Twitter.
like grew up in the fucking church? Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course.
So what did
everything
you
should
say
go on
about them
Twitter.
on Twitter?
What was that?
What did you say about them on Twitter?
What did I say? Was it the
It
story
was
time?
the Dodgers thing with the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence.
Uh-huh.
Something happened there. I
Wow.
just like there's been like multiple times that I've seen you like getting attacked by a bunch of Catholics on Twitter because you're just like.
Are Catholics on YouTube? Are they watching
Oh
us
yeah,
right
they're
now?
everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Uh-huh.
All right, what will you say to Catholic YouTube right now? If you give them a piece of your mind.
Catholic YouTube. You're all going to hell. Your
Yeah.
channels are boring. Your content is based on lies. But I love the outfits that the Pope
decor,
wears and
the interior
decor.
design
Yeah,
of it,
that's kind of
of it all, the architecture.
Focus on
sickening.
that,
Focus
yeah.
on that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Y'all need to focus on that. Drop the preaching. I also grew up Catholic. But like my parents were like lazy Catholics.
Oh, lucky
So we
you.
would only go like major holidays, Easter,
Uh-huh.
like Christmas. Maybe there'll be like a 2-month span where we would go like every Sunday, but not not really. And I had no idea that like some churches didn't have donuts. Cause
Donuts.
like the church we went to would have like a donut stand outside. So I just thought like
What?
donuts were a part of like the Catholic experience.
That was like being Mexican and going to like Spanish church was lit because there was always the like elote person and the fruit people and shit, the ice cream man outside of church.
Yeah.
Like,
You're nodding. Was that your experience too?
Angel.
I was baptized Catholic, but my parents did not. Were not like religious.
Mm.
But like each time that I did go to church, there were always donuts. That is also.
That is also
What?
yeah.
With church was donuts.
Huh.
Hmm.
Do you want to hear like a really like a weird maybe TMI story about my Catholic guilt?
Is it gonna be triggering?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
The first time I masturbated, I was praying while I was masturbating because I thought I was doing like the worst thing ever. And then like when I like, you know, when things happened, when at the culmination of it, I like had the biggest freak out. I was like scrubbing the tub. It was in the tub.
No.
I was like, yeah.
That's not unique to you.
okay.
That's like I don't remember like having like such like big like Catholic guilt, but like the Catholic guilt around masturbation was the biggest like.
Yeah, I literally thought I was like, I'm going to hell.
What did I do? now it's like turn me on.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Jubilee. Boop boop boop.
What?
Okay. All right. Let's do more controversies. Okay. We did Sally versus Boo Boo.
Mm-hmm.
All right, quick fire. Well, what do you have to say about it? One word.
Sally versus Woo Woo?
Yeah.
Bully.
Bully. Okay. Easy peasy. Nikki versus Heclina. Go.
Nikki.
Nikki. Oh, picking sides. Heclina.
I don't know.
I'm just kidding. No,
I don't know.
Nikki.
And she's dead. She won't know that.
Yeah, exactly. Hecklina's not gonna hear it. Kajina versus makeup.
F for
That's the word.
effort. Well, that bitch does her makeup in like 45 minutes. If you took like 15 more minutes, I think. No, but she looks great.
She looks great.
Yeah.
And she's really like what I love about most established drag queens or drag performers that they have like a beat that's recognizable.
Yeah.
Like, so I think that's more important than being good at makeup.
Yeah.
But like having like your like a recognizable kind of like face. And yeah, anyways, we're not talking about it. Kachina, I love you.
Your makeup is
I love
perfect,
you.
Cochina.
It's perfect. I love you. Okay, Camille Toe versus Heaven on Earth. Go. Okay, actually, we're gonna take a break and we're gonna talk about. No, we'll talk about that later in our next segment. But if you don't know, there was a little Twitter tea. Oh, you want? Are you okay to talk about it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about it now? No, let's table it.
No, yeah, let's table it.
We'll table it. We'll table it. We'll come back. Okay. Did you hear about the drag brunch that happened, or the San Jose drag brunch where there was a fight?
No, I read it and that's why I reacted.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay, so apparently, like, some drag queen, like, popped a twink that was in the audience. Is that right? I don't know. This is all hearsay.
Yeah, we're going through like 3 levels of separation.
Okay.
Knowledge of this,
Mm-hmm.
but they had I think it was at the Sofa Market, their drag brunch there, and some twink or some faggot was berating one of the queens or something, and they got into fisticuffs and like dragged him out by the scruff of his neck and threw him on the street.
So like, what's wild to me is that, like, nobody got it on camera. It's like, you're at a drag brunch, people are already, like, taping things and on their phone, like, taking a picture of their eggs, like, no one got it on camera.
Which is kind of better, I think, because then the stories, I think, are probably a lot more exciting than what actually happened,
Okay.
but...
So the drag queen that was involved apparently is this, do you know Get No One? Or is it No One? No One. Do you know No One? I think their Instagram handle is Get No One, right? I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay, well, they're annoying. So I was wondering, is like, I wonder how this fight started. I just kidding.
That's the thing too. Like a lot of fights that happen need to happen. Like some of these drag queens need to get beat up.
Let's go. Have you ever been in a fist fight?
No.
As an adult, no.
No.
As
or
a child?
as a child, no.
Really?
With my cousins, maybe, but
Oh my god!
Yeah.
I grew up fighting all the
I've
time.
never.
I've been sent home so many times, like in elementary school, for fighting.
Still now, she's used the.
And then
Uh-huh.
in my adulthood, I used to get in fights regularly.
I've never, and even like, so when I turned 21 and started going to the bars in Davis,
Okay.
I would try to instigate, like, I would get drunk and try to instigate fights,
Yeah.
and like, no one ever wanted to fight me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's a privilege. Okay, people would want to fight me all the time. I think they look at me, they think I'm a pushover. I'm like small. My voice is up here. You know, it's just like I'm tiny.
Well, the funny thing is that I'm like very non-confrontational and I'm a very big pushover.
Mm-hmm.
But like I guess I'm also like a big like I'm kind of tall, especially for a Mexican. I'm hella tall, and I'm.
Do you always have facial hair too?
No.
No. Okay.
No, but yeah, I'm a big ass bitch, and I think I also like kind of because you know I'm kind of satanic looking and shit. I think people are scared.
I think people are scared. That's what I'm saying. Is like
Yeah.
I think people aren't scared of me, so I need to make them scared of me. Okay, so I've actually like stopped fighting. Like I have not been in like a fist fight in a while, which is kind of like great because, but also kind of sad because I think like I'm a drag queen now, and like. A fighting drag queen sounds so fun, you know? But I haven't been in a fight since I've been a drag queen. But I'm ready. I will say that. But the last time I was in a fight was, I don't think it's there anymore. It was called La Tortilla on Castro. Do you remember it?
No.
No. Anyways, I got into a fight there once.
Is it where that Mediterranean place is now?
I think it's where the Mediterranean place is now. Exactly. So it was like after a night of drinking. This is my first year of grad school, so I'm like a full ass adult, and I take all of I take all of my cohort out to the Castro because they're like, Robert, take us out. And they're all kind of like these suburban white girls. So I was like, yeah, let's go. And then afterwards, we all can get burritos. And I'm definitely dressed like a fag. You know, it's just like, I have like a bowler hat, but like
God.
pearls.
Uh-huh.
But I'm wearing like a button up with like Daisy Dukes. It like makes no sense. It makes no sense. I'm like a young faggot.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm like chatting with friends that I ran into, and I guess I'm like eating a burrito, but like I'm like casually like walking backwards and like bump into somebody. And apparently I did it a couple of times. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like I'm looking at my friends eating a burrito, and then like, you know, I guess I like bumped into somebody. So the person that I bump into like starts a fight with me and just like wants to fight. So I take the burrito and I shove it in his ear. And then it's like we start going at it. Those white suburban girls that were in my cohort were like,
we're shook.
Shook.
Yeah.
It's like these faggots. Like one of them ripped the pearls off of me, so there's pearls all over the floor.
I love that.
Oh my god! But that was like the last fight I was in. But it was like over 10 years ago at this point.
There was this one time that I should like I almost got my ass beat and I deserved it, but I don't remember because I was blackout drunk.
Ooh.
And I was CrossFit. I was like high and drunk. Ooh. Yeah, but it was Pink Party 2008 maybe 2009.
So in the streets.
Yeah, like but when they would still do it in the Castro.
Yeah.
I was like blackout drunk and I had taken an edible. This was back when I was like still smoking weed. And I guess I like just like whipped out my enlarged clitoris to pee in the middle of the crowd, and some fool got hella mad, and he like tried to fight me. And honestly, if he would have beat my ass, I probably would have.
Were you peeing on him? Or?
No, like literally, I don't know. I don't remember.
That is inappropriate. You
yeah, I should have got like
party.
I should have got my ass beat.
Yeah,
yeah.
But also, it's just like it's not your fight to fight. You know, it's like just let.
Yeah,
that
let the
it.
little faggots.
Yeah.
I had to pee, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get back to that one controversy that we talked about. Camille versus Heaven on Earth. Oh, no.
Yeah.
I want to talk about it. Okay. Yeah. Okay, we're going to move on.
Mm-hmm.
Controversy's over. That's petty stuff. That's Sally Lamone stuff. We're going to move on to more distinguished... conversations. Let's talk about pageants. You've done a lot. I'm gonna call this segment "This Is Me." Oh my god, I said "This Is Me" and you immediately started.
We're skipping Camille.
No, we're gonna get to it.
Cool.
We'll get to it. Oh yeah, let's start there. Well, I want to start with Battle on Broadway because it's the first pageant I saw you competed.
Yes.
Was that your first pageant?
No.
Well, you did Turbo.
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's start with Turbo.
Okay.
Yeah. So you did a regular digital cycle, and then you also
did.
did a revenge
Uh-huh.
digital cycle. How was doing Digital Turbo for you?
It was cute. It was like one of my first like
Performances.
shows. Yeah. I did Turbo just like a regular cycle and went home in the first round. And then I came back for Revenge, which is like All Stars.
Yeah.
And came in
Did
second.
you compete both as Scat Wiener?
No, I think the first one I did as Scat Wiener, and the second one, yeah, because I remember they talked. Who was it? Bitch Pudding, I think, was like, oh, they should have kept Scat Wiener. That's funny. Yeah. But yeah, I did Turbo Revenge.
Okay.
And I placed second.
You did.
Uh-huh.
People said that you should have won. Do you agree?
I feel like everyone did a really great job, but I do think I should have won that one.
I think you should have won.
Yeah.
I think Beef could have won too.
Yeah.
Who won that one?
It was Franzea.
Franzea.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Franzea had the best first number, I thought.
What was
and
it?
And
was
she
it
probably
the one?
Yeah, she probably rode that wave to the finale and through the finale.
Yeah.
They did the jellyfish one.
Do
you remember?
I don't remember it.
Oh, it was really funny.
It was Barbara Streisand, wasn't it? Or was it?
Barbara Streisand was part of it, maybe.
Oh,
But like, she was like a faggot on a boat, and then the boat sank or something, and then like all the drugs sank to the bottom of the ocean, and then jellyfish found the drugs, and then the jellyfish got high. I don't know. It was like,
I will say
it was on some shit.
They do some like really funny campy shit, so I have to give them credit. They're really great. They have really great ideas.
Yeah. So you felt like you should have won.
I thought I should have won.
Do you feel that way about all the pageants you competed in? Battle on Broadway. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
So who won that one?
That was
Heroine,
Heroine,
obviously. Do you feel like you should have won that one?
I feel like I could have won that one, but I don't necessarily feel like I should have. She is like by far probably one of my favorite performers ever. She's just really amazing.
Wow, you're like kissing her ass.
No, she like legitimately is such a good
She is really
She's also like my sister, but
yeah.
But yeah, no, I think we did. I think there's a thing that happens with a lot of the competitions that I do is that I feel like I often do something different than what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
And so with like that one, like Hera was giving stunts and I was giving, I guess, like campy, weird gag, whatever.
Yeah,
but
it was all thought out. I was
Yeah.
there. I went to support you, and then my laptop got stolen out of my trunk.
Oh.
So we all lost that night.
Yeah, but yeah, I was really happy for her.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I did give an iconic moment. Like, who's gonna forget me birthing a child at the Port Bar?
I did not forget.
Exactly.
Not the first baby born in Port Bar, actually.
Or swallowed.
Or swallowed, yeah. Okay. Okay, so we competed in a pageant together.
We did?
The Gaggle.
Oh, yeah.
So
Where
let's talk
you
about
won.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Gaggle's a fake pageant. Vivi puts it on. I think it's a way to like kind of like use grant money or something.
Yeah.
But it was dope. It was really cool. So the concept of the pageant was like parties versus parties. So you were representing the Port Bar, and all of their parties. And I was not asked to be in it, despite having a show at the Port Bar. I thought that was shady as fuck. But that's okay, because, like, I don't, like, personally identify as a Shawnee's Angel. Are you a Shawnee's Angel?
I think technically more of a stunting is a habit. That's what we call...
Stunt is a habit. Yeah. Okay. Stunt is a habit. So you don't think I stunt as a habit?
I think stunting is a hobby.
Why wasn't I asked? Okay, whatever. I wasn't asked to do it. That's fine. I, like, processed that... I processed that. But I did end up winning the pageant alongside Heaven on Earth. Actually, we tied.
Well,
And-
your house one that like
Yeah.
she's so humble with Heaven. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna say this like on the record since I have all of this going on. I am underappreciated as a house mother. I think my number one contribution, aside being the most successful person in the house, is my ideas. You know, like I am the idea queen. I like come up with all of our numbers. I come up with how it's going to happen. I kind of like put all the chess pieces on the board to checkmate, which we did. So it's just like, I won that pageant. Do you disagree, Angel? I made Angel the star. I cast her.
I do want to, I want to note that Angel did roll their eyes when he was talking. It also sounds like a democratic dictatorship, which I love.
Yeah, totally. It's not a democracy. It's cheerocracy. Get in line. I'm pulling rank. No, go ahead, Angel. You can talk. Okay, yeah, you took too long. No, it's just no. Go ahead, talk. Talk.
No, what am I going to say? I've heard this plenty of times, and we're just going to move on. Yeah.
Angel was the star of that number, and I deliberately kind of cast her in that role to make her feel special. But like,
I also
I'm
put
the
like
puppets.
20,000 stones on all 4 garments.
That's
that
true.
We wore.
Yeah, the garments that I chose, I sourced, I bought. That Beef said that they would pay me back after we stoned and fitted it to them, and they still haven't. It's fine.
We made our outfits by hand.
I saw that Amortiz made all of those
I made my own.
beautiful outfits.
Delilah made one or two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you made your own version of those
And you can
those
probably
color
tell.
combinations. It's like y'all just
And
chose 3 colors and just threw them together. And I was like, yes. No, I will say it was a gag. All of those it was a gag. Y'all really came unified. Maybe not in the choreography, but y'all came unified in the color scheme. All right, let's talk about it.
Okay.
Do you feel like you should have co-won with us? We should have won. Should have got second place.
I think that we brought something different to the pageant. Literally, like we were representing various different kinds of drag. We also try to diversify like the genres of music and the piece and shit like that. We were cohesive in our looks. But
were
yeah,
you
we fucked up a
cohesive
lot.
in like the soundscape and the choreography?
I mean, we weren't necessarily there to like show everyone that every single person in our group is a dancer because that's not true.
but so that's T in our group too. Not everyone's a dancer, not even the star.
What do you mean?
We were on roller skates.
We were on roller skates, yeah.
That being said, I did kind of feel like we had a decent chance at winning,
Yeah,
co-winning.
I think it was the most ambitious number of the night for sure.
Yeah.
Just given like what you wanted to showcase and attempt. Do I think the execution was there? No, but y'all had feelings afterwards. Because I will say it's like we won hands down. We executed that number.
I would agree.
My mind on a different level. Anyways, you really did have like some sickening moments. But y'all had feelings afterwards, or not all of you. Did
Not
you share?
everyone.
Did
Well,
you
this
share?
is like when I do pageants, when I do competitions, usually like, of course, like a prize is nice or whatever, but I love doing competitions because that's how I push myself to experiment with like my drag a little bit or like really push myself, right? So like
Yeah.
every time I've lost a pageant, I'm not like every time? No. Turbo, I was pissed.
Okay.
But yeah, usually like when I lose a pageant or a competition, I'm not like hella upset about it. But people in that group definitely were.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. But I think it's kind of warranted because what happened, Phoebe? Your co-winner.
Uh-huh. Yeah. What about my co-winner? They're sickening.
Yeah, they're great.
Okay, I will say there's a little shadiness in that, like, so the idea was party versus party, and Heaven on Earth represented the pageant itself. So there's like this like meta moment. Vivi's into that cerebral shit, so it's just like she probably thought it was cute to like be like, oh, this is, I don't know, some like level of like self-awareness that that kind of makes the party special. So they ended up co-winning with us, and I think it was deserved. I thought they kind of put on a really good show.
They did without any shoes on, which is fine. But this is okay. So there's like a thing, right? If you're doing a competition, a pageant, I think.
So that's the number one thing I hear about Heaven on Earth.
Yeah, the shoes.
That they didn't wear shoes. Florida Man won Star Search wearing flats, like slippers, because
but she was a cave
woman.
person. Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, Heaven on Earth was like a sickening dancer with no shoes.
Which is they're a sickening dancer. We know that.
But see, like they hit the choreo.
Yeah, which is what they do, right?
But I'm just saying, it's like, there's a bunch of different
I'll say
rubrics.
that, like, so I was actually nervous to talk about this situation, which is why she's enjoying talking about it so much. Because here's the thing, I have not had a one-on-one conversation with Heaven since that happened.
Yeah.
But I have noticed, and I don't know if it's accurate or not, that in interactions where we're in the same space, Heaven doesn't like acknowledge me. Doesn't like literally one time I was at a gig. I was at the last Lollygaggers concert or show, and Heaven was there, and they were there with Hollow, and I was talking to Hollow, and the whole time Heaven was like not looking at me. I don't know if like I haven't talked to Heaven, so I don't know if they like dislike me or not. I'm sure that they saw all of the tweets and the things about Heaven, about them not wearing shoes.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, at a pageant, you should bring, you should be very polished. And I'm okay.
You're being shady.
I'm
like
not-
how you whispered shady. It was like, bitch, these mics are gonna pick it up.
Like you can have someone do your makeup for you at a pageant. That's fine. Which is, I think, something that they could have considered. But they did bring really great choreography. Is that fucked up?
No, it's not fucked up. Okay, so here's what I'll say.
This is the thing too. I'm
no.
not the only person to think
No,
that.
that's
or say
okay.
that.
I'm glad that we're talking about this because, like, I really feel like we always try to skirt around, like, kind of like the what we want to say. We mince our words, and like this is great because, like, I'm not afraid to say, like, I think Heaven is a sickening performer, and I think what they bring is not only their dance ability or their
Like their visuals are always a production.
Yeah.
It's very pop
Yeah.
star. I love
Yeah,
that.
exactly. It's just like, you can do drag a multitude of different ways. And just like, if your focus isn't makeup and hair and shoes, then everything else has to be at like a certain level. And I think with Heaven, it is. Like Heaven does tick every
Yeah.
single other fucking box. So I don't want to reduce kind of like
No, I mean,
their drag to like, oh
yeah.
well, they're not wearing shoes, because like, I don't know.
there's
like-
a lot of reasons why performers wouldn't wear shoes. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. But like, I think because I was part of that pageant and part of this group
Yeah.
that was very vocal about the shoe thing, like,
Yeah.
it also became one of those things that it like kind of became a joke. But because
Mm-hmm.
I'm associated with them, I also got involved. That being said, also like Heaven and my drag auntie Hollow Eve are
Mm-hmm.
really good friends, and they do a lot of stuff together. And so like I think like. I don't know. How was gonna get pissed at me.
Here's
But,
what I want to say. It's like,
uh-huh.
I'm sure Heaven's chill with you. I'm sure, like, because
I literally, like,
Heaven is like so
maybe
yeah.
they're also like in their own little world sometimes. I think
Yeah,
I don't know, but
yeah,
that last
exactly.
interaction, I was like, I think they don't like me, and I think it's because of the whole like pageant thing, which was kind of silly, but also whatever. That's like everyone knows that I'm not a fucking dancer, right? So like my makeup is
Oh, we
cute,
know.
the looks are cute, but I'm not a dancer. So like at a pageant, I'm gonna look really good, and I'm gonna try to. and
But
I'm
no. What? No, yes.
gonna look really good. I'm
Yeah.
gonna try to bring the gags and stuff like that, but I'm not gonna. I can't
Yeah.
do a fucking split to
Yeah.
save my life. And Heaven is an incredible dancer. And so if that's why they won, then that's great.
I think it's part of the reason they won.
Yeah.
And it's also was like kind of a fake pageant.
Yeah,
Except
yeah.
I will say our win was real. Our House of Cakes win was
Everything
real.
was fake, but
Everything was fake except that.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
just real quick,
yes.
two things. One, House of Cakes did not win. It was Rollin' with the Homos is who won the pageant.
Mm-mm. Okay.
But just my
We were representing
my piece on the foot gate. I've been like very anti bare feet in pageant numbers since Butch Queen 2019.
Oh yeah.
There were like 3 talent numbers in a row with people dancing without shoes on, and so like Evian for me won the moment that she came out wearing shoes. I was
Yeah.
like, work, bitch.
Yeah, the person that beat me at this last pageant, the Miss and Mr. Sub Latino, also did not wear shoes during their talent portion, and so I was like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, she's winning.
Okay, well, that's a good segue. Let's talk about this. Your most recent pageant. So what was the title you were going for?
Well, before I move on, I just want to, Heaven, you're an incredible performer, and I have a lot of respect for you. I just want to say that. Okay, this last pageant, it was the Miss and Mr. Safe Latino pageant. It is put on. This was like 29th cycle, I believe.
Whoa, that's a lot.
It's
so long.
It's like
I had no idea.
Nobody knows because it's a very like traditionally Latino Spanish
Okay, yep.
like so it's in a whole different audience that most people
Yeah.
that I know are not part of, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's been around for a really long time. It is put on now. I don't know if it's always been like this, but it's put on through an organization called, I think it's Instituto Familiar de la Raza.
Okay. We'll
And then-
we'll fact check you and
Yeah.
put up a card.
Through
Okay,
their
yeah.
through their program Cia la Vida, which is about like sexual health in like Spanish speaking communities. And so this was the 29th Miss and Mr. Safe Latino pageant. I was their first bearded queen in the history of the thing.
Representation.
Apparently, so I've had a lot of conversations with people about this pageant.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have said it's not my category. So there's 3 categories. There's Mr., there's Miss, and there's Miss Transgender. The Miss category, I was under the assumption that is a drag queen category.
Uh-huh.
But some people are saying that it's not a drag queen category.
Okay, interesting.
They're saying it's a cross-dresser category or something, which is, to me, is kind of draggy when you're putting
Okay,
it on stage.
interesting. Yeah.
Anyway, so that was
Yeah.
the thing. But yeah, 3 categories. Been around for 30 years.
So you competed in the Miss
Yeah.
part. Okay. That's interesting. Like GAPA is very similar in that there's like a Mr. GAPA and a Miss GAPA.
Uh-huh.
And then the past couple of years, maybe more than that, there've just been 2 winners, and it's mixed Kappa. Mixed Kappa. So there could just be like 2 winners, but this one they've just like increased the categories over the years, or there's always been 3 categories.
No, I think it used to just be Miss and Mister.
Okay.
And then they added the Miss Transgender and separated that category.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
And then, so people feel like you were in the wrong category, or you feel that about yourself?
No, from what I heard, especially from one person who was actually in the pageant, she was like, there just wasn't a category for what you brought.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is true. Also,
I don't think that's true.
Transparency, like the reason why I even considered joining is because someone from the organization had asked me to consider joining. And I did apply and go through I went through an audition. And so like whether or not I belonged in the pageant.
What was your audition song?
I actually just did some videos.
Okay,
I showed videos of performances.
Yeah.
So whether or not I belonged in the pageant, I think is not up for debate because there was different layers to me being there.
Yeah, for sure.
She has layers. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get down to brass tacks. Did I use that term right? I don't know why people say
I've
that.
never heard that.
Let's cut to the point. Let's cut the cheese. You didn't win.
No.
The winning number was "This Is Me"
In Spanish.
Oh, in Spanish.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes it a little more special. What is your relationship to that number? Did you watch The Greatest Showman?
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, I actually don't know anyone that actually watched it. Did you like it?
Yeah.
Do you find that song moving?
I love it.
You love it?
Yeah. But I wouldn't perform it unless it was like for fun, like for jokes.
Okay, so that's also...
It's like a thing. It's like
it's a thing. It's a drag joke.
Yeah, it's like a drag joke. Kind of like poster, like holding a sign, which she also did on stage. Or like, ribbons, which she also did.
Well, the first time I was ever in drag, my very first performance, there was like a group number, and the group number was to "This Is Me," and I ate it up. I like loved it. I was like, okay,
were you crying?
I'm finally a drag queen. I'm gonna do it. And this was 7 years ago. I'm gagged that people are still doing it after kind of like the.
It has a beautiful message.
It does have a beautiful message. It's good, and it's actually like kind of a sickening song. I enjoy it every time I hear it.
I don't hate it.
How do you feel about losing to that number?
Again, like when I entered this competition, I knew that there was a lot of factors that were working against me, right? 1, I'm bearded.
Okay.
2, I'm spooky, edgy.
Okay. Why do you feel like those are working against you? You already knew that this particular pageant was going to be less hospitable or open to those things.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also like I feel like I'm very self-aware. Like I know that like especially like this audience, right? It's a very traditional Latinx audience. They're not used to seeing like what I bring to the table at like very traditional Latinx spaces, right?
Yeah.
For, like Que Rico, I think is like a bar. It's like a bar in Oakland that like showcases a lot of that traditional talent, and I just barely started performing there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I know that audience. I know my community. I know that these spaces aren't necessarily tailored for what I bring to the table, and I don't think like it's just not something that they're used to. You know what I mean? I also feel like there's like we still in the Latinx community, I think we still prioritize normativity and acceptance.
Yeah.
Which I think is no fault of our own, right? Those are all informed by religion, colonization, like all these things, right? But I'm aware that these are some of the factors that play into like how my artwork is received in my own community, by my own family, like whatever, right? So my biggest goal in this pageant was to
showcase.
Yeah, to like make a spot on the table for folks like me to like be the first person to really push the boundaries of this category so that hopefully in the future there's a little bit more like representation, right? I brought in my talent number, I brought Melanie Sparks, who's also a really beautiful bearded drag performer. I brought Trashly, who's my sister, also a really beautiful bearded drag performer. Rosie Petals, who has been doing bearded drag for a long time. Grace Towers was one of the judges, like iconic.
Oh my god,
bearded
drag.
Yeah. And I also brought Luke Modelo and Papi Churro, who are drag kings, because drag kings and bearded girls have never been in this pageant, and
Yeah.
I had this platform, and I wanted to bring them. Like, that was really important to me.
Okay, so everything I know of
Mm-hmm.
and everything I've seen confuses me.
Uh-huh.
Because, like, I really do feel like you should have won. Like, not only, like, representation and your project aside, but just, like, quality
Mm-hmm.
and execution. You know, like,
Uh-huh.
you should have won. What if you had to use your imagination to guess why you didn't? Do you feel like it's because of the traditionalism?
Oh, yeah.
That they wanted.
And I like had already figured like that was part of it, right?
Mhm.
But I've also had a lot of conversations with people about that pageant, people that are like were involved with the pageant in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a story about inside tea. I heard a rumor that maybe even folks at the organization were just kind of like, why is there a drag queen that is bearded in this? Like, they have
okay.
a beard. I also heard from someone who was helping my competitor and other people in the pageant with some of their outfits. I met them at Querico last weekend, and they were just like, oh, like the staples, like it's Si a la vida means yes to life.
Okay.
And so they're like, it's yes to life, not no to life, and that's violence, and I knew you were gonna lose it as soon as you stapled yourself, and blah
Okay.
blah blah. So like, I know for a fact that
Yeah.
these are the sentiments in
Yeah.
my community about the kind of art that I do. I don't think they understood the message,
Okay.
and I don't think they wanted to because they were already so distracted and put off by the beard and the little spooky ooky part of me. But we're here, like, bitch, like.
Yeah.
We had, like, growing up, like, some of our biggest, like pop culture icons were, like, Gloria Trevi and Alejandra Guzman, who were doing some, like, very, like, rock star, like, punky shit on these stages, and people ate them up. They were very controversial. So, like, to say that, like, this kind of shit on a stage is, like, abnormal and, like, really weird or whatever, like, is not, it's not true. It's a lie. But we're also, like, a very Catholic religious community and shit like that. Morra, who's, like, sitting back here, like, who was on La Más Draga, alternative performer, really like different makeup style, whatever. It like did really amazing stuff on the show. Like I feel like we're able to, with a lot of other alternative performers on that show, like we're able to showcase something that in Mexico is like still like kind of people are not used to it or whatever. But like it's there, it's elevated. We showcase it like regardless of whether or not people like see it as valid or accept that.
Gag.
And I'm pretty. Look at me, I'm pretty. Yeah.
You are pretty.
I edited my own videos, which the girls didn't do.
Well,
I did my own makeup.
I just want to say, like, everyone I know is like incredibly proud of you.
I'm proud of myself. I'm really happy with it. That's the thing. I'm also really happy. I was really happy for her.
Yeah.
Winning, because regardless of whether or not like I agreed with it, like we all put in a lot of resources, a lot of time, a lot of effort into this, and so like I'm happy for her. I'm happy she won. I'm happy she had her moment. I'm happy she got the prize. Like, good.
Yeah. Good. Okay, we're gonna take a quick break. You haven't cried yet, but I feel like this could have been where you cried.
I guess we'll see.
You could have cried here. You are devastated. It's fine. You're valid. You're valid. We're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about one more pageant and then and a few final questions.
Okay.
Period. Oh my god, I cannot get my words out today. I don't know what. Dismantling.
Dismantling.
Whoa.
Another
Oh
one.
my god, it's so jealous. I was just talking about how I want to burp. It's really not fair, but that's how the universe works sometimes. Okay, we were talking about pageants. There's one last pageant that we actually did together. I did it as a judge. You did it as a contestant. It happened this past weekend.
It did.
It was the John Waters Mosswood Meltdown pageant. You were competing with only 3 other people.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How was that experience for you?
It was literally a dream come true. Like, so
it was a nightmare for me. It was a full ass fucking nightmare for me.
Why?
Okay, so good. I'm glad you asked. I was kind of fishing for that. I actually have like waited all my life to judge a pageant. I was just like, I've won so many best talents. I've only won one crown, but I've won so many best talents. I really wanted to judge a pageant, and I did no judging. Basically, like, so Celeste like brought like rubric sheets for us to like fill out. I was like, oh yeah, we can use these sheets. Da, da, da. We presented it to John Waters. John was like, no, I'm just gonna choose the one that I like. So it's like we didn't even get to like judge at all. And then like Beatrix did a bad job of like asking us what we thought about things, so we didn't even talk much. And I was supposed to sit in the middle seat where I would be in the light, but they sat me on like the far right, and I was in the dark the whole time. So like even like the group photo, the photos of like of the stage were like I was like in shadow.
But
and
you're not a stranger to the dark.
Yeah, exactly. It was my "this is me" moment for sure. And when Beatrix announced me, and I went on stage, I like posed for the photographers. There were 2 photographers in the front row, and I like posed, and neither of them took a photo of me. I was so pissed. I was like ready to like hate. It was a terrible experience. And then the other part of it is like, obviously we're all there to like idolize like John Waters. Like we all fucking love him. And you know, I grew up like obviously like jacking off to Serial Mom and and Crybaby. And then like he was like not like mean, but he wasn't like I'm ready to kiki with
and he like showed up, did the gig and left right away. Like
right away. So it's just like I got nothing that I wanted out of the thing. But I did get to see your number, which was wonderful. So I want to hear about your process preparing for this pageant and your experience doing it.
I mean, yeah, like I said, it was like a dream come true to be able to perform for John Waters. Also because Divine is like one of my biggest drag icons. Yeah. And idols. The eyebrows are heavily influenced by Divine. And so that was like really cool to be able to be in the space with the person who like helped give Divine a platform and some really cool opportunities, right? I did a number to with the theme of Pink Flamingos, which is probably one of the most iconic movies that he has worked on because there's just so many moments in it that are like gross and memorable, and the story is really fucking weird. It's one of my favorite movies. And so I rewatched the movie. One of the things that I love about the movie is that it's not great acting. Like it's really like it's supposed to be. I don't think any of his
movies. I think that's kind of the part of the genius. It's like no one's acting is good, but it's like it's almost like. To make that happen for even with good actors, I think is like a talent of a director. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's not like the most like polished like work of art ever, which I feel like is also very like kind of like what I do. It's not that fucking polished, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I wanted to like the movie has a lot of freaky moments in it. I love freaking people out with drag. Yeah. So like I like stapled myself on stage. I ate mayonnaise and jalapenos, like random shit. I wanted to like take Divine also and give it a little bit of like a Latina twist. So like my makeup, my hair, my outfit was like Divine influence, but not. Yeah. You know, I wanted to give it the literature twist.
I also feel like it was a House of Rude kind of like carrying on the tradition. Hollow did a Pink Flamingos look once with Angel, and Angel ate like. Was it prosciutto?
No, Hollow ate prosciutto out of my like
butthole.
Underwear. Yeah, my butt. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Look at that family resemblance.
There you go.
Yeah. And Beef was in your number.
Yeah. I feel
Beef was. Beef was really mad that they were like shooed out of the VIP room. Did you hear about this?
No.
Well, after spraying you with all the mayonnaise, we've had mayonnaise all over them. So they went up to like to wash off in the VIP room, and people yelled at Beef because they weren't supposed to be there. Anyway, I thought.
Well, maybe you should be more VIP, Beef.
Well, I mean, it was probably a little rude, but it's also like I didn't go up there.
Well, they also like didn't have a garbage bin. I don't think they had a sink.
They did not care about the drag performers at this thing. It was a punk festival, and they're like, these drag performers are not punk. I don't know. I did not have a good time.
Yeah. So
I didn't even have a drink ticket. I look like this and I didn't get a drink ticket.
Uh-huh.
Oh, but we did have those hard Sunny D's.
Oh, yeah.
backstage.
Oh, okay. Those were
are
rotted.
horrible,
They're
but,
terrible.
I want more. of
Yeah.
them.
Okay, well,
So who was your winner, Phoebe?
okay, so I really did wish we had an opportunity to kind of like talk about it at least, or like even score.
Yeah.
I think everybody did really, really well.
It was it was
I'll
amazing.
spill some tea. I think you were third place. I think Obsidian was last place, and Kafka won, obviously, and
Mhm.
Piranha was second place. And I think these were all kind of. I surmised these placements based on John Waters' rubric. Poor Obsidian did not know that John Waters' greatest regret in life was ever smoking, and did like this whole homage to like smoking.
Oh,
But I thought it was
no.
a sickening number because I think like really good drag numbers should kind of implement all of the senses, and it's not often smell is one of them. So it's just like it was really kind of like transformative. Well, in the Bay Area, smell is a lot, but incidentally, not on purpose. Incidentally, not on purpose. This was on purpose. So, also just like in terms of like originality, it's like Obsidian's beat, Obsidian's kind of like approach to drag is just like across the board, like
Amazing.
not like anybody else. So
Yeah.
I thought John would at least appreciate that, but the whole smoking thing,
Mhm.
too bad. I feel like Piranha had the best mix, and this was something I already felt, but John also like kind of like whispered over to us, like it was the best mix. So I just feel like Piranha really like hit the tone in terms of like kind of like structuring everything. To me, I thought yours was the most kind of like, again, kind of ambitious, and like you went into the audience, you broke the fourth wall, you had a lot of props, you did an entire homage to like a lot of the movie, you had like extras, and you had kind of like food, it was filthy, it was just like a lot, and it was like the best show, and to me that was a contender for second place. I think to John, he might have seen it already, you know, kind of just like I've seen like drag queens do Divine, and maybe that gave Kafka the edge a little bit because it was maybe something he hadn't seen too much.
Mhm.
But that's
Yeah.
that's all kind of like my understanding of the situation. you
Yeah.
know?
And there were a lot of moments where like I didn't know the words to the monologues, or like
I didn't notice
it was
that.
Like, yeah, it was crunchy. I
Yeah.
did notice also, I was like watching some playbacks. There was a part where like I went to my purse to pick up, I think, the staple gun. And I was already covered in mayonnaise, and John Waters was kind of like, which
Yeah,
is weird
John-
to me because
yeah.
he's like the Pope
No.
of Filth or something.
Yeah,
It's-
John Waters put his mask on as soon as Obsidian started smoking.
Uh-huh.
I was just like, oh.
Yeah. John
for
Waters recorded Divine eating a fucking dog's turd and
Yeah.
was scared of my mayonnaise, but
Yeah.
I mean, icon.
Yeah, icon.
Yeah.
No notes.
No.
No crumbs.
I didn't give a fuck.
No, I have a few notes.
Uh-huh.
No, it was fine. It was good. I loved it. I loved the experience.
It was just, yeah, it like it was like it was
Yeah.
it was a fun show to do.
It was
I
a fun show.
It was like,
Yeah.
I mean, you never see drag shows like that.
Beatrix looked great too. I just
Uh-huh.
want to say that. Everyone looked great. I had a good time. You were sickening. I wish I had a little bit more spotlight airtime. Not, I didn't want to take up too much space, but it's just like a little bit of something.
Yeah,
But I'm sorry I said you got third place. To me, you had second place.
it's fine.
But I'm happy Kafka won because I feel like Media Meltdown, not to be confused, Media Meltdown, Kafka, and Piranha are just like the best movie, incredible kind of like minds, and I just like love everything they do, and they really made like these like truly loving tributes to John Waters.
Yeah.
You did as well. I feel like everybody won, honestly.
I just wanted to like be messy and like freak people out a little
Yeah.
bit, and I did that.
Cute. So that brings us to the end. I mean, like, there's really not much more to say. We hopefully healed a little, maybe opened up some new wounds. Who knows? But having spent like the last half of or third of this episode talking about pageants, is is pageantry something that's a goal for your drag? Where do you see Chucha going in the future?
It's not necessarily a goal. I try to do competitions every once in a while again, just to I'm like, okay, I need to like grow. I need to like learn some stuff. Me and Trashly recently started taking some private dance classes with Major Hammy.
Private.
Uh-huh.
Oh, cute! I love that.
Yeah, we haven't done them in a while, but we will resume. Because I feel like one of my biggest areas of growth is like how I maneuver around a stage in my dancing.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so we're doing that.
Well, whenever Hammy's not available, like we'll do it with you.
Yeah.
We used to have like movement workshops with the House of Cakes, and we would just like come up with all these different kind of like moving exercises because like not everyone of us is like a dancer. So yeah.
No. But yeah, so I think at this point there's like skills that I know I need to like expand on. And that's kind of my focus right now. Like I'm also like trying to sew more because I can do basic stuff with that. I'm trying to learn how to style a wig.
Yeah.
So I think like as far as like my goals are and where I want to be, I think literally it's just about like really like focusing on my skill set and like doing drag myself.
Yeah.
Like from not just like the performance aspect, but like the looks and all that stuff.
Wow.
And like I'm really enjoying like I feel like I'm in this. I've always wanted to in my drag because I feel like my drag is very like it's very Latina, but it's also very Soma. It's very like whatever. And I've always like for me like because I grew up like English is my second language. I grew up very much in like Mexican culture, like all that stuff, and so that community is very important to me. But it's also very hard for me to like really like immerse myself in it because I'm also like very like spooky and very like gay and like all that shit. But it feels so homey, and so for me like I think with like that pageant, the Miss and Mr. Slave Latina pageant, now doing a lot of stuff with Que Rico, like all of those things are also like I think like immersing me more in that community that feels really homey to me.
That's great.
And hopefully like helping me get some acceptance from my parents. My mom's like she's like my parents are very like supportive. My mom actually when I started doing drag she gave me jewelry, she like whatever. But she's always like, why is your drag so violent? Why is your drag so scary? Like why do you do that? And so hopefully I think with them I always have to like show them like no, this is normal, this is fine. Yeah. And I think like doing that kind of stuff I think hopefully like also helps a little bit with that. So those are my goals. It's more about like personal growth when it comes to my art.
Beautiful. Great. One last thing. So the Sacred Heart that you wore for one of your presentations was made by House of Princex. Are you a part of that house or no. But you tap who is a part of that? What they're so mysterious.
Yeah,
as far as I can tell, it's only student name.
Maybe I think right now that's like one of the mysteries, right? We had Bella Button. I think we figured out who that was, and now House of Princex is.
Not Bella Button. How dare you bring up Bella Button at the very end of our show? Okay, will you help me read our patrons out?
Yes.
We got. Oh, go ahead. You go first.
Ali Scat.
Ali Scat, not to be confused with Scat Wiener. Clark Alexander.
Or Ali Bastard. Anita Bump.
Diana.
Bevo Nerd.
Freddie Seipolt.
Bella Orbeya.
Kai B. Michaels.
Butter Mamon.
Terrible.
And
Chris Hendricks. Okay, I know we took a break last week, but we're back. We're producing shows. Please consider joining our patronage because it really helps us kind of like stay motivated, but also like afford to do this. And thank you so much for joining me. And if you join our patron, if you become one of our patrons, you will get La Chucha's alt. Okay, we're gonna DM you La Chucha's alt, and you can see all of those whole pics from 2008. Okay,
literally haven't posted in a while.
Thank you. Okay, let's pose. When the harshest words try to freak you out. I don't even know the lyrics.
What is it? When the
Should we sing it together?
Yeah, let's take it. Like, yeah, pull the lyrics
When
up.
the harshest words want to cut me
Cut
down,
down.
I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out.
I'm
I'm
afraid.
I am bruised. I
am who I'm meant to be. This is me. We don't need to pull the lyrics up. That's enough. That was enough.
How was it in Spanish? Like, así, what, something, I don't know. Yo no hablar.